Okay, today we're going to be looking at Stage 2 Music Individual Study. Now this particular elective is a little bit different from the others in that it has quite a degree of flexibility inbuilt within it. Now the thing that really underpins this subject or this particular elective is that you need to be able to work independently. So before taking on this subject, you want to be able to look at whether you're actually capable of doing that. Now, a couple of things that will also help this be successful or not is you need to choose what you're going to be doing within individual study as early as possible, and then stick with it once you have. If you're constantly changing your topic, that's going to have implications for all of the other different parts of the elective. So it's very important that once you've chosen your topic, that you stick with it. Now at Stage 2, unfortunately, a lot of the assessment actually needs to be handed up significantly early in Term 4, which means that you want to aim to have everything completed by the end of Term 3. That just gives you a little bit of buffer just in case anything untoward happens. The other thing that you really need to be able to do is to have very effective time management. So you want to set up a regular routine, a regular time where you're actually looking at this stuff. And because a lot of subjects at Stage 2, not just in music but across the board, they basically need you to work independently. You need to look at how this particular elective is going to fit within your routine. So maybe actually sitting down and looking at your whole week and looking at where you're actually going to be trying to fit everything in. If you have a plan of how you're going to use your time, you're kind of less likely to waste it. So just a couple of tips. Now the very first thing we're going to be looking at is the product component of this elective. Now yes, this is the assessment type 2. We will be looking at the folio, which is assessment type 1, and the report, which is the third assessment type. But we're going to be looking at this one first because, like I said before, it's essential that you work out what your individual study is going to be based on as soon as possible. Now, the thing about the product is that it can take a number of different forms. So it could be a performance demonstration or lecture. It could be a DVD. It could be a musical instrument that you have constructed or restored. It could be a CD, audio CD, with some written documentation. It could be a written research paper, or it could be an oral presentation. So the good thing about this is that you're not stuck within one particular format of presenting the product of the individual study. So there's a number of different things that you can do. Now, there are a number of different topics that you can choose, which we'll briefly go into. If you want some more information, there is some more available on the SACE website. Now, you can either go there, but an easy way of being able to navigate your way around, if you want to actually look at a particular subject on the SACE website, it's actually easy to Google it, I find. So if you go to Google and type in SACE Music Individual Study, it will actually take you right to the page that you need to be, and then you can kind of navigate to find your information from there. So the first topic is tutoring. Now that doesn't necessarily just have to be just teaching an instrument or voice. It could be recording, teaching somebody how to record. It might be training a small ensemble. I mean, yes, you can teach an individual student or some groups of students as well, but you've got some flexibility there. You can have a look at music within the community. So how does music operate within the community? And they've given some examples of what that means. You might have a look at music within the church, or music within an aged care facility, music within cinema and broadcasting, the use of music in ritual. If your school is actually putting on a musical production, you might have a look at being an assistant musical director, arranger, repetiteur, so actually looking at being involved that way. And then there's also some analysis components where you're actually analysing some music from primary sources, or analysing music in a social or cultural context. But there are some more. There's another topic which is kind of a little bit more focused on that if you really want to get into the nuts and bolts of that. Musical instrument. Now this is quite popular, but there are some pitfalls with musical instrument. Essentially what you've got to do in here is you've either got to build your own instrument, and some really popular ones is building a guitar or building a bass, or repairing, and a lot of people have opted to repair some percussion instruments, like some drums, it might be some bongos, etc. So you can either build or repair. The thing about this particular elective, though, is that there will be a cost involved in some way. So if that's going to be a problem, most people get very, very excited about building their own instrument or repairing one, but very often the school will not be able to cover the costs of this. And this is something that you're going to have to pick up yourself. So please be aware of that. That's very important to understand before you undertake this one. But having said that, you don't have to spend a lot. You don't have to do anything really crazy to be able to get up into the A bracket. Essentially, if you're building a guitar or bass, for example, so long as it looks reasonable, and most importantly, it actually works, that will be enough to get you over the line. And remember, you're really probably going to be working to a quite a strict time frame. So don't push the boundaries too far. Try and keep it as simple as possible, because at the end of the day, it's actually not going to get you any more marks. Music and cultures. This one here would probably take the form of like a research paper. Some of the examples that they've actually looked at, and remember, we're actually looking at music within a cultural setting. Some of the ones that are quite prominent, we have a strong Latvian community in South Australia, Japanese taiko tradition, development of jazz in Australia, trends in popular music. So you're basically looking at how music is used within culture. If you come from or have a diverse cultural background, sometimes it can be really interesting to look at it from your own personal viewpoint. But this one here will probably require you to unpack that a little bit with your teacher, and make sure that you're actually covering everything to stay within the A band. But yes, certainly if you're interested in music from a cultural setting, that one there's a very good one. Now the final one is music industry, and basically that's going to look at you taking on the role of a person within the music industry, and that can take a number of different forms. So for example, you might look at what it would be to be involved within the recording industry. So you might actually, if you know of a group of people who are in an ensemble or in a band and you'd like to record them, that could certainly be something that you could do. Event management, you could actually put on an event. Music retail, that there takes a number of different forms. You could actually look at it where music is bought or sold online or in a store. There's also the look at DJ and dance music production, how music is used in radio, conducting, that was used in one of the other ones as well, demonstration recordings of original songs. So if you actually want to record some of your own pieces or songs, that's another option. Once again, you could take a leading role in a musical. Once again, that's being part of the music industry. So there's a wide variety again of things that you can do. A little bit later on, we're going to be looking at the folio and the report, which is where you actually have to document a lot of this stuff, and I'm going to go into that in a little bit more detail. Now, having a look at the performance standards, whenever you're doing anything within this particular elective or any of the electives that you're doing in Year 12, you need to constantly be referring back to your performance standards. If you don't have a copy, make sure you get one, because this is what is going to be your benchmark for checking to see whether you're on track. And everything that you're doing, everything that happens, you want to be constantly referring back to this here, and actually check to see whether you fall within the A band. Now, a lot of the terminology is essentially exactly the same right the way through, except you'll notice that to get into the A band, it's comprehensive knowledge as opposed to clear knowledge. The further we go down, if we get into the E band, it says limited reference. You've really got to make sure that you can put yourself in this bracket. Now, essentially, it's very, very important that when you're doing the product, that you are constantly documenting what's going on. When you do anything, no matter what it is, you need to write it down. And this is going to be essential for part of the folio. And I'll be talking about the folio in a different tutorial. But I think it's important to understand that when you're actually producing your product, that you're not just producing the product. Whenever you do that, you are constantly documenting whatever it is you've done. And in the folio, I'll give some demonstrations about how that looks, and give you some tips on how you can make that work. So that's the product component. And as I said, in the next couple of tutorials, we're going to look at the folio and finally the report.